have said his name before. It sounded familiar to what you said, the guy's name. He's actually already answered his own question.
You get those a lot too. See those pretty often.
Oh, here's a cool one. Cole. Wow, I cannot say your last name. How is that silent K? Knudsen? Knudsen. That's good, Cole. He says, what is the most amazing astral being you have ever encountered? Okay, well, technically source of creation doesn't count, does it? Because it's not really a being. It is all beings, but at the same time it's not a being. You know, it's like so
more like an energy.
Yeah. It's conscious and it's not conscious. It's like an ocean. And if you go into one bit of the ocean where it's a little bit warmer, you become a little bit more awake. And if you go into a little bit where it's a bit colder, you become more unconscious. You don't know where you are. That's what it's like. But I guess the weirdest... if you're going the weirdest route or route, I would say it would be an animal. It was a moth. No. Actually, okay, it's either a moth, because I've got two weird ones. Okay, now quite a few are popping up into my head. Okay, it was either a moth or the salamander. The moth was like the size of a car. It was completely blue. It was like a moth. It wasn't humanoid or anything. It was just a giant bug. And it was telepathically intelligent. It could speak to me mentally.
Oh, wow.
And we were walking down the street, and as we walked down the street, the environment changed to like a jungle, like an urban jungle. All the cars started to decay and rot really fast, and everything started to break down. It's like a futuristic, scenery. Or it was the salamander. I astral projected and materialized into another planet. That's what it looked like. Very reminiscent to the movie Green Lantern, where all the different species of aliens were walking around. And there was this big horse with 8 legs. It was purple. Its neck was longer than normal, and it was like it was on steroids. This thing was huge, right? And on the horse was a salamander. It was basically a orange frog, but it was humanoid, and it was wearing armor and shoulder pads. You know? And this thing was like 9 foot tall. It was massive. It was thin, but it was like 9 foot tall, really long. He just looked at me, and again, he was telepathic. He spoke to me, you know?
Wow.
So that's what most of them were like. And those were the 3 strangest things I've seen, in the sense that they don't quite fit in. You know, they're kind of elaborated things when it comes to what you're normally used to seeing. You know, like in the Green Lantern movie, you see the fish guy, whereas normally you would see a fish which is this big in your fish tank. So this is what I mean by strangest beings I've seen, but otherwise the rest were really beautiful. They were light beings, multidimensional, or they were just really plain with no mouth, no eyes, no ears, and they were just like, just a skeletal structure.
Yeah.
Which was really strange. Or elongated necks like slugs, but again made out of energy, and they're 2D. They're cartoony.
That's so cool, man. I love hearing your stories because they make me realize, wow, I still have a ways to go. Like, that is absolutely amazing, man.
Yeah, there are different classes, different kinds of entities. You have, the funny thing is the ones that are so-called considered demonic with the big horns, you'll find those in the higher dimensions, and they don't even look demonic. They're all made out of patterns and colours, and they're moving, and they've got this really cool energy to them. They're loving beings, and they're super wise, and they've got the horns, or you'll see, like, I think her name's Ganesh, with the trunk. You'll see a few of those walking around, or a squid. You'll see someone with like a squid head and squid tentacles, and you see them walking around, moving around. The way they move in the higher dimensions is completely different as to how things move in 3D in the other dimensions, That notion of fluidity when you see someone walking, it's not like that in the higher dimensions. It's different. I'm not quite sure how to explain it.
Yeah.
What entities have you seen that are possibly the strangest?
Man, after hearing that, I'm like, I haven't seen anything, quite to that nature.
What?
I think the craziest thing that I've seen in the astral, my astral experiences, was actually it's kind of a twist. It was myself, but in a different way. I'm not sure if you ever experienced mirrors in
Mm,
the astral.
yeah.
So I made a video called "My Craziest Astral Projection Experience," and in this video, in this experience, uh, I'm in this dream, and I'm talking to this girl. Long story short, I try to kiss her. Things get weird, and I end up feeling sleep paralysis. I feel vibrations, and then all of a sudden I become aware of myself in several different places at once. I was aware of myself laying down in the bed. I was aware of myself laying down on the couch at my parents' house, and I was aware of myself laying down on the couch in my old apartment. Now, I don't know how this was possible, but when everything began to, I came across actually a black kind of scribbly orb that kind of freaked me out at first. When I was laying on the couch, and I remember looking at this thing, and I was like, I was starting to feel fear, but my mind my attitude, my mindset switched, and I then began to think, I'm in control. I'm just fine. I want to know what's happening. And as soon as I made that actual decision and I felt it in my being, boom, everything was clear. And I was as clear as day in my parents' house. But the thing, and mind you, I actually live in Iowa, but I was as clear as day in my parents' house. And it seemed as if time had collapsed in on this location because there was parts, like for example, where the TV was, there was two TVs. There was in the same exact spot. They were like coexisting in the same spot. It was so strange. It was a flat screen TV, but also the really old big box TV in the same spot. The old kitchen table was there. The new kitchen table was there. A little end table was there. But none of this stuff was actually it's been long gone. I haven't seen it in years. And then so I began to walk around the house, and it's strangely physical. Like I can hear my footsteps, on the ground, clumping. I can run my hand along the wall, and I feel the wall, And then I make it to the mirror, and I look into the mirror, and I see myself. But and it sounds so strange. I mean, well, I'm sure everything you said sounds strange, but I saw myself in the mirror, and I also saw a previous version of myself here, another version of myself here, and behind that person, and behind that person. So it was like making a little V of me. And I'm looking in this mirror, and I'm waving side to side, staring, and they're all doing the same thing. And one of me was shorter, one had hair, one had my old work uniform on, and I just remember just staring at this, I'm making faces, and they were all doing it. So it's that was probably the strangest thing I could ever experience because what is that? What is that? What is this?
That is so much information out of that one astral projection experience. It's ridiculous. That is literally like the Avatar state in the cartoon where he's looking at his past lives and they're in a triangle and there's loads of them. And you literally, you were at that center. I've been there as well. I've seen it in other people. I looked at someone in the eyes and I saw the same thing you just described. I've seen the same thing in myself also.
Wow.
It's like when you... it's one of those experiences everyone needs to go through.
Yeah. It just completely reforms the way you think about life.
You're there. I don't know how else to explain it. You're. It's like time stops, and you see everything as it is without actually just seeing one frame at a time, one point in space at a time. When you move through points of space at a time, it gives the illusion of motion. And you can only see in one direction, so you're only observing your own experience as it is now. But if you can scale back, you'll see the other yous that has done that, and the other yous, you'll see everything going on at the same time. But it was like what you just described was more of you had also astral projected, and they were all with you right there. but experiencing this through you because you were in the center, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was like they were all there with you, watching you, figuring out the fact that there are multiple dimensions laid on top of each other, all existing at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And hey, this is you from now, but from that point in space. And this is you from now, but that point in space. All of which think that their time reference is now, is going on now. They don't know that you're like, I don't know, 10 years in the future, 5 years in the future, back. They all actually believe that it's all happening right now. So the one behind you might have thought it was 2011. You know it's 2015 if you did it in 2015. So it's kind of, it's strange. Like you said, it's like everything just collapses in one and you realize everything's happening at the same time. You know?
Yeah, and one thing that it made me think about, it made me realize that everything is happening right now. And it made the theory, Einstein's theory, the space-time continuum, it made it make that much more sense because, time is nothing more than the illusion of, moving through space. Like, space and time are, like, intimately linked.
Oh, yeah.
We measure time by the way the Earth moves around the sun. That's our measurement of time. Like, a year is the Earth moving around the sun. A day is the Earth turning. So time and space is, like, intimately connected. And I think, like, it brought me to a place of where there was, like, no space and time almost,
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, everything was just one.
Just collapse, like, you're there. It's just, you're just there and everything's... I get this feeling also when you experience eternity, when you go back to the source and you remember what it's like living forever, and never to have died and never to have been born. It's kind of strange. But it's like time becomes so expansive, it then becomes irrelevant. You feel so old that all of a sudden you don't feel old at all. Time it just has no meaning. It loses its concept, and that's when it
makes
gets better.
perfect sense.